Happy Sabbath, everyone. We're doing Q&A, our new series. So grab one of these papers. It should say part 2 because we started a new part, but I accidentally put part 1. But it's part 2. The papers are on the table, or it should be on the table. It's gold, yellow-ish. So grab one of these, and then we're gonna actually do review first, okay? And so it's we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, and 4, all 4 of them. Those of you guys who are watching this online or watching it later, I'm gonna give you the website for these notes where you could actually download these for yourselves. So right here, there's the link right here. So you could just click on the link, or if you have your camera or your phone, you could just scan the QR code right here. Okay. Let me see. Oh, and by the way, this note, it's going to be on this link. It's going to be number 5, and it's going to be titled number 5 Buddhism, or number 6. Number 5 or number 6. It's Buddhism one. Okay, we're going to study Buddhism today. But we're going to start with the review. So let's do 1, 2, 3, and 4 together. So try it on by yourself. Try to fill it out as best as you can. This is from last week. And if you weren't here last week, you could go to YouTube and watch the other video, or we're going to go over it today anyways. So just click pause right here and then work on this. And then after you guys finish, just replay this video. Okay, start it over again. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, welcome back. Let's try from number 1. This is the Bible verse that we're basing our whole study upon. And if somebody or someone asks you about your hope, so you should have put hope there. As a believer, always be ready to explain it, but do this in a gentle and respectful way. Okay, so we're going over different questions that we have as Christians, as just, questions about life. And so we want to be able to explain it to our friends and people who ask. So it's not really, yes, of course, it's also for us, our faith as well, because we have questions. But we also, and that's why the reason why I'm giving you guys notes is so that you can actually keep these. And when somebody asks you about why do you believe in Christianity, what's the difference between these different religions, you could actually give an answer to it. All right. Let's go to this one. Coexist movement. What's their philosophy? Their philosophy is basically that all of these religions, okay, they need to have peace. We need to coexist together. Why? It's because they believe all religions are superficially, so on the outside, very different. Some people go to church on Saturday. Some people go to mosque on Sunday, Friday, Monday, whatever. But these are just superficial differences. Fundamentally, they are the same. Okay, so that's why coexist movement basically says, hey, we need to all be at peace. We can't say things like I have the truth and you don't, because in the end, outside, it seems like we're worshiping different gods. We're saying different things about God, but fundamentally, we all believe in the same God, and so we need to all get along. We need to stop evangelizing and stop being arrogant. That's what coexist movement says. So we are basically going over, okay, is this true? Okay, is coexist movement, are what they're saying about religions, is it true or not? So instead of me just telling you they're wrong or these kind of things, we said, hey, let's explore these religions together. Let's go over the fundamental questions together, which is origin, meaning, morality, and destiny, and actually see if they're all fundamentally the same or not. All right, so we're going to go over first group of religion, which is the pantheistic religion. And so what's the difference between theism and pantheism? The difference really is theism. It says basically in the beginning, depending on what religion, basically God created human beings, okay? And so God and humans, they're separate. They're not the same thing. Okay, there's a distinction between God and humanity. Whereas pantheism says something like, in the beginning, God separated himself and he divided himself. And so each and every one of us, human beings, we're all gods. Okay, that would be the major difference. All right, so Hinduism is one of the pantheistic religions, one of the two popular ones. We're going to go over the second one today, but today we're going to go, last week we went over Hinduism together. All right, so let's go over number 4 together on your review paper. All right, number 4, what would they say that we came from? So like I just talked about, they would say, oh, in the beginning, God separated himself. So all of us are from God, are part of God. Number 2, what's the meaning? What's the purpose of my life? My purpose of my life is that I basically realize that I am God. Hindus believe that we have forgotten that we are gods. So we need to be enlightened. We need to awake to the fact that we are gods. Morality, how should I live my life? What's good and bad? Basically getting good karma, doing my different yogas, that different practices within my different caste system. Those are the things that I need to do so that I can actually go up. I need to, because you have different practices called yoga to cleanse yourself so that you can become more awakened to your godness. Last part is destiny. Where do I go after I die? Well, because we're gods, even though like me, my body, physical die, my godness, it just transfers to another human being or another living thing. So they call it reincarnation. That means after I die, I go into another body and I am reborn again. And again, depending on how I did in my life, my karma, I can go up the caste system or go down on the caste system. But the higher you go, you are closer to God. So that was the fundamental things of Hinduism. We're going to go into our second pantheistic religion. Any guesses on what the symbol is? I talked about it in the beginning. Yeah, it's actually Buddhism. And we're going to see why it's like a wheel and there's 8 parts. These are important 8 parts. Let's see. Do you guys know how much % of the world are Buddhist? You guys know? Guess? It's 9%. Okay, so we're going to go over 4 major religions, and this is the smallest out of the 4 different religions that we're going to go over. So Hinduism was number 3, and then Buddhism is number 4, as far as percentage goes. The founder of Buddhism is, anybody know? Yeah, this face looks familiar. Anybody know? Most of you guys are going to say Buddha, but like, do you guys know his like actual name? So his actual name is Gautama Siddhartha. Okay, he was living in the 4th century BC. So let me give you kind of a story of Gautama and how he became Buddha. His parents were, back then, India wasn't united. And so they had like kings from kings of like different tribes. And his dad was one of the tribe. One day his mom had a dream that this white elephant came into her body. Okay. And so after that, she went to a fortune teller or some kind of wise man and basically said, hey, I had this dream. Is something going to happen? And so, so the fortune teller said, basically, you're going to have a son and it's going to be something good. And you have a choice. Okay. Either he's going to become a great king that's going to unite all of India together, or he's going to be a really, really great religious leader. Okay. So if you could pause the video if you want. I asked the question, which is, if you were a parent and you had this kind of fortune telling, what would you choose for your kids? Okay, you could pause the video if you want and then talk about it. If not, so obviously there were kings, there were nobles, so they decided the king route. And so what they did was with Gautama, they gave him the perfect life. They didn't let him see any like bad things like death or even like ugly people. And they actually gave Gautama like the best food and everything else. Again, the reason for that is so that he becomes used to this luxurious life, and he would just go after this luxurious life and become a king, just like his dad. All right, but after he grew up, one day, and by the way, he wasn't even able to like leave outside of his house, right? Because he was only able to be he was exposed to only the good things of life. And so his parents didn't really let him out. But somehow he got out one day. And then while he was out with one of his servants, he comes across an old man. Okay. By the way, this is a picture of me in India with a very nice looking old man. So he sees an old man and he goes, whoa, I've never seen this kind of person before. Why does he look like that? And the servant's like, oh, don't you know, all humans, we all become old, every single one of us. He sees a second person after that. He sees a sick person. Okay. So again, he sees the sick person and he's like, whoa, what is that? What's that stuff on his face? And why is he, why does he look like that? Because he's never seen a sick person before. And again, servant says, oh, some people get sick, and some people, again, we all get old, we all get sick at certain point in life. So again, he's totally shocked by this. After that, he sees a dead person. The man in the picture, he's not dead here, but he was very close to his death. And eventually he did pass away, but not in this picture. Anyways, so he sees a dead man. Okay. So again, same thing. He talks to his servant, and servant basically says, hey, we all become old, we all become sick, and we all die one day. And again, this like baffles him because he has never seen these kind of things before. Afterwards, the fourth man he sees is an holy man. And he sees this holy man and he's like, wow, we all get old, we all get sick, we all become dead. But this guy, it seems like he's so much at peace with himself. And so he decides, hey, I'm going to leave the luxurious life. And basically he leaves his home, and he was actually married and he had a kid, but he abandons all of that. And he basically becomes a religious person. Okay. And he studied Hinduism because that was the, religion back then, or the prevalent religion back then. And so he studied it and studied it and studied it. And he tried a lot of different versions of Hinduism, different variations, different denomination perhaps, but he wasn't really, just something kind of seemed off. Long story short, one day he was, meditating, and he basically became awakened. Okay. And the word Buddha actually means the awakened one. And so he basically reached what later we're gonna talk about this concept of nirvana. Okay. He became awakened. And so Buddhism really comes from Hinduism, but it rejects some of the ideas. Okay. And so right here, if you look at on your notes, number 5, go to basic info and go to III. What teachings of Buddhism did Buddha reject? The first one he rejects is the idea of caste system. Okay. Because Hinduism basically says, okay, you're in this caste system, and you got to stay here for thousands of good lives, karma, do your yogas, and then you get to the next level, and then you get to the next level, this kind of thing. But Buddha realized, hey, I actually skipped all of this. I actually did it in one life. So this caste system, this is wrong. Okay. You don't have to do all of these things. You can actually reach nirvana. You could actually become awakened. You could realize that you are God in one life. Why? Because I did it. So you can do it as well. So this caste system, bye-bye. Hindus also have, like we talked about, a lot of like yogas, a lot of practices, a lot of rituals. Same thing. He just said, no, these things are not necessary. Because why? I reached it. He said, I've done all of these things and I didn't reach nirvana. I didn't become awake. But when I But we're going to talk about what is needed to be really awakened. These things are not needed. These are just, busy body things. You don't have to do these things. So he rejects the traditions of all of these things, all of Hinduism. Okay, the yogas, the practices. And the third thing, he rejects the Vedas. The Vedas are basically the Bible of Hinduism. Okay, it's Veda. Okay, and they have 4 different Vedas. And again, it's basically their holy scripture, and he rejects that. And he says, I didn't need that. I didn't need the caste system. I didn't need the practices. You can reach nirvana. You could be awakened in one lifetime. Okay. All right. So next question basically is, how do we actually become awakened? Okay. All right. Buddha says 4 things. If you understand these 4 things, then you, this is kind of like the whole big premise of Buddhism. Okay. They say, number 1, life equals suffering. Okay. Life is hard. Life is difficult, right? Bad things happen. Okay. We become old, we can become sick, we die. Okay. Life sucks. Okay. A lot of bad things happen in life. Okay. So he says life means suffering. He says, number 2, the reason why we suffer though, okay, is because of our attachment. Okay, so think of some of the struggles that you go through right now. Okay, maybe you go, maybe you struggle with like physical appearance, and you go, oh, she's so much prettier, or he's so much more handsome than me. What are you doing? You're attached to your body, your physicalness. Another thing is maybe somebody's making more money than you. And so it's like status, right? So again, you're attached to status, you're attached to honor, you're attached to power, you're attached to things. And that's why you suffer, because you're attached to things in itself. Okay. So again, number 1, life equals suffering. The reason why you suffer is because you're attached to so many different things. And that's also the reason why, according to Buddha, you're not recognizing that you're God. Okay. Because gods don't have attachments to these physical things. Number 3, there is liberation from suffering. Okay, so that's a good news. Life is suffering. We suffer because of these attachments, but good news is that there's freedom. We can become God. We can become awakened. How do you do that? These are the 8-fold path to liberation. So these are the 8 different things that you can do to basically detach from your attachments. Okay. So that's the basic idea of Buddhism, is that you suffer because you are attached to things, and basically you just need to detach, and then you can become awakened. And so in your life, you could do it in one life. Of course, if you do die, you could do it again and again, but you could do it in one life. You could do it right now. So you need to detach from different things. So these are the 8 different paths. I'm not going to go over all of them, but as you can see, some of it, it's like right speech, right? You're controlling your mouth, right action, right effort, right concentration. So basically, what are you doing? You're basically controlling your whole mind, because the better you can control things, right, the better you could detach. Does that make sense? So for example, if I am like always like maybe if I can control my speech, then that I could control my desires, because what comes out of, like, kind of like what Jesus says, what comes out of your mouth is what comes out from your from your heart. And so again, if you can control that, if you can control your desires, the better you're able to detach. So from that, you could see why Buddhists, they shave their head and they wear pretty simple clothing like this. Okay, why do they do that? Okay, or why do they do this? Why do they recite things over and over and over and over and over again? And why do they live in, like, why do they go to the forest or go to these temples, and basically they're on their own? It's because, again, all of these things, they help you to detach. Does that make sense? If I don't have hair, I'm not going to be like, oh, do I look good or not? Because there's not much you could do with a shaved head, and you wear simple clothing. Everybody's wearing the same thing. What are you going to do? I'm better than you. That's kind of, again, it's helping you. Again, the whole, like, they do fasting. Sometimes they don't speak, or they like bow like 1,000 times. Again, they're training their bodies. They can control their emotions. They control their desires. The better they're able to detach. Okay. Why do they live isolated? Again, same thing, less temptation. Okay. If I'm living here, I'm not going to be worried about, oh man, I got to get the next iPhone. Oh my gosh, my friends are making so much money than me. Then you're not worried about these things at all. Why? Because there's no, you're isolated. You don't have these kind of temptations, or less temptations at least. So again, your whole goal is to detach from all things. And when you are able to really detach from everything, that's when you reach, tada, you reach nirvana. Basically, this God-like state, because God is not detached to any of these things. And the reason why we continue to suffer, the reason why we don't realize our godness, is because we are attached to things. So Buddhism is really simplifying Hinduism in a lot of ways. It created this very, very simple path. It makes you don't have to worry about all of these different practices. You just have to worry about, hey, I just need to detach. Okay, it made the concept very simple, and it also gave people hope, because you could do it in one lifetime as well. All right. There's a lot more I could say, but let's go to the fundamental questions then. All right. So now put your Buddhist hat on, and let's try to answer these 4 questions together. Actually, I'm going to give you guys time to do that. So you could pause the video and try to answer these 4 questions together with your partners. Okay, so pause the video and let's do that. Okay, so let's go over putting our Buddhist cap on. As a Buddhist, what would I say about these 4 things? Where did I come from? This is the same as Hinduism, right? God separated himself, and so we are all part of God. Okay, what's the purpose of my life? It's a little bit different than Hinduism, right? Hinduism, it's similar in some ways. It's that I need to become awakened. I need to realize that I am God, and I need to be awakened. Okay, but it's slightly different in the way they do this, right? Because for Buddhists, they say you need to do it right. You could do it right now. Okay, it's a one life kind of thing. Whereas in Hinduism, they say no, don't try to do it one time. You can't do it one time. You need to just do your yoga wherever you're at. All right, morality for Buddhist, basically the eightfold path would be the good things, right? Again, controlling your mind, controlling your view, controlling your speech, your action, your efforts, livelihood, again, all of these things. And the last part, where do I go after I die? Hopefully you could reach nirvana in one lifetime, but if you cannot, then you will be reincarnated once again, and you could start over again. Okay, that's basically Buddhism for you. By the way, Buddhism, in a lot of the self-help books that are out there, it's really based upon Buddhism, right? It's this concept that you yourself are God. You have control over your destiny. Don't blame, your past life. Don't worry about, this different caste system or traditions. Don't worry about that. Just you control yourself. You yourself are God. You have one lifetime. Do the best that you can do. That's what's behind a lot of self-help books. So it's kind of Buddhism, not all of it, but it's a lot of Buddhism idea. It's just stripped away of the Buddhism concept, the superficial layer, but a lot of it actually comes from Buddhism. And so Buddhism these days is actually more on the rise with New Age, and a lot of people are interested in this kind of stuff because it's a lot of self-help. It gives empowerment. You could do it in one life, that kind of stuff. All right, now we're going to go into discussion questions. What's something new or interesting that you've learned today, and what additional questions do you have? Obviously, I can't answer the questions because I'm not there in person, but hopefully remember the questions, and then I can answer it when I'm actually there in person. All right, happy Sabbath, everyone.